Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here. So today I have for y'all a Destiny 2 build for Slayer's Fang. I'm going to talk a little bit about the shotgun, which you need to really after this, but I'll give y'all a rundown on the build, after I kind of showcase this. This is not using a single artifact mod. Um, the way I'm titling this, the reason why I'm titling it this way is I do believe this to be the worst exotic that we've had in quite some time. Maybe not the worst in general. Like, if you can't get Volatile off... Here, we got Volatile. But we are in Preservation here. Alright. But, unfortunately, this weapon does struggle from most bosses not really being shotgunnable. That is a minor issue, but that's with any shotgun build in general, so... We're gonna make our way towards Disciples Bog here. And of course I'll be showing all alternate options as well. In case, one, you don't have the exotic, and you want to use no backup play as what to use. What I recommend using over Slayer's Fang. Getting Volatile. I did give this thing quite a bit of range. I will say, when I was Volatile, this thing cooks! We're already out of ammo for it. Okay. That's why we have a machine gun as our heavy. But also, this shotgun here gives us bonus super energy for each final blow, which I deem to be a little bit more useful than whatever. Origin traits are up to personal preference, but when people say that, oh, it gives you like 2%, like origin traits are negligible, no, they're not. Deepstone Crypt's origin trait is extremely good. So if you have Heritage, I definitely do recommend using Heritage. I don't know why the fuck I did that. But with this build, we can actually get Devour without Mask of the Quiet One. It's just a little bit more difficult. A little bit more difficult. You have to generate orbs, essentially. And you're going to have to compensate some stats. Will that go on its own? Yay, it does. Okay. Oh, more ammo. I will say, I hope this thing gets an ammo buff, because, man, this is, or even make it generate ammo, a little bit easier. Okay, we're gonna generate ourselves an orb. Okay, we have Devour. That being said, it does not last long, so make sure you keep it up. So now, as you can see, we're up to 8 seconds. By the way, you can kill yourself with this thing, so do be aware. It sort of has anti-barrier, which is interesting. At least, okay. We're gonna get into some technicalities when we get, once I, do one more thing of these. We're not gonna go to the end of the mission, of course, but we're gonna go one more time just so y'all can get a better look at the good old shotgun. But yeah, the Devour doesn't last long, unfortunately. I wish with how I have it set up, you don't really need the up in the uptime. But if you're with other people, it's actually going to be a little bit easier. So how I have it set up right now is I have it set up currently as far as picking up orbs of power is going to give you Devour. So as long as you're generating orbs and whatnot, again, another reason why we're using the Void Machine Gun here. Again, the shotgun's not exactly ammo efficient, so... However, when you get those volatile rounds, though, it is beautiful. However, when you don't... And we're using Access as our super. As you can see, it doesn't have absolute, it doesn't have, absolute insane range, as you can see, but its range is actually quite good on this thing. So now we're going to turn to orbit here, and I'm going to show y'all, what I'm using and whatnot, so y'all can try out the setup for yourselves. I will say, is this the strongest No Backups Plan build? No, and it's not even close. At least in this weapon's current state, no. Now, let's go ahead and first get into the shotgun itself. Now, I do have all the Intrinsic 4, the Nightworm Sight 4, so that's great. As y'all saw, Nightsworn Sight, True Sight, which True Sight is completely useless in PvE. It is only good in PvP. For Hunters, it's a little bit different because I believe Hunters can get benefits from True Sight, but Titans don't get any in any way, shape, or form. Being able to apply Weaken, is it new? No. Is there another exotic that applies Weaken way freer? Yes. We're going to talk about alternative options to using the shotgun, but first, precision damage and reload speed is increased. Its reload speed is perfectly fine. As I saw, it can put out damage. And some munitions weaken targets. Do keep in mind, if you shoot at yourself, you can get weakened. You can be weakened yourself, meaning you can take more damage. Which is why I do not recommend using this thing in close range. Because your health can go from 0 to 100 real quick. These sub-munitions on their own don't do that much damage. However, when weaken is applied to you, you do take a lot more damage. So that's something you must keep in mind. Now, the trait here is Overload, basically. However, the Overload, it does stun the champion, but it does not prevent them from regenerating health, which is a little bit of a problem. And technically speaking, it can get barriered through volatile rounds. The shotgun itself isn't technically barrier, but the rounds that it spit out technically are. I'm not sure if it's intended this way, but as y'all could see sometimes I was just shooting straight through the shield. So do keep that in mind. It might not stun like a barrier or anything like that, but keep in mind that its championness is a little bit wonky currently at the moment. Now, you can use Repulsor's Brace. Repulsor's Brace is pretty decent. If you're using no backups plan, you do not need to use Repulsor's Brace. You can use Stat for All. Realistically, there is no good catalyst on this shotgun. There's not a single good catalyst if you are a no backups plan Titan. Destabilizing rounds or Demolitionist would have been absolutely fantastic for no backups plan Titans, but Stat for All is reload speed, stability, range. So if you're going for anything, I would personally suggest Stats for All. Cascade Point, not as good as you think it is. It brings up the rounds per minute from 70 to 72. And you do not want to absolutely blast through ammo on this thing. So there's that. Right, there's that. I definitely hope that Bungie takes a look at the ammo, because I was running double Void Reserves there, and ammo is a little bit of a struggle. So I hope Bungie buffs this thing in particular's ammo, because it's a little small. Stock doesn't matter, but you really want that range is kind of important. Stability is not as important as one might think. Here, you're not necessarily doing like sustained shots with it necessarily. Unless, of course, you're using it for DPS. But the range is quite important. It has really, really good range. Really good range. 75 range is kind of insane. Most other shotguns don't, I believe. Like this thing, well, this has 80, but this thing's range is cracked. But it feels a lot larger. The range feels a lot longer because that cone that little pellet spread is a lot smaller. Obviously, this thing is a precision frame. I believe this is a slug. Now, let's get into the abilities here. Offensive Bulwark and Bastion. Both you need. Bastion for getting the Overshield for survivability, and Offensive Bulwark, you can replace Bastion with something else. That's something I will say. Offensive Bulwark, do not replace. Whenever you have an Overshield, which you're getting that Overshield constantly, all your abilities are going to recharge faster. So that is Grenade recharging faster is extremely important here. We are using Vortex Grenade. You can use Magnetic. Magnetic or Vortex is good. Shield Throw, we're using to get that quick Overshield. You can use Shield Bash instead if you so choose. The super we're using here is Twilight Arsenal. This applies Weaken. I will say, if you're in a DPS situation, use Bubble instead, especially if you have no well. Because the bubble is going to give you that overshield constantly while a boss is shooting you. So do keep that in mind. But you can also have your overshield when your overshield runs out, place down a rallying barricade. So keep that in mind. But Twilight Arsenal or Ward of Dawn is what you should be using here. Aspects: Echo of Leeching, Echo of Obscurity, Echo of Instability. Instability is required to get volatile rounds. And Echo of Starvation. Usually I have Echo of Remnants or even Echo of Exchange, but the melee is not strong enough to for Echo of Exchange to really take much hold here. But Remnants does increase this thing's duration. However, Echo of Starvation, pick up a Void Breach, or Orb of Power grants Devour. Titans cannot create Void Breaches without a Fragment. We can't. Which is a little bit strange considering... Especially, like, a lot of the Void Breach mods have negatives to them. Specifically, the one that's actually decent offers no benefit whatsoever. I definitely feel like it would massively help if Bungie opened up a 5th spot for light subclasses, if I be perfectly honest. But that's the setup I'm using. When you pick up an Orb of Power, it will only give you 4 seconds. 4 seconds of Devour, so make sure when you pick up that orb, you get another kill with anything. We're using a Void Machine Gun. Any Void Machine Gun works. Any Void Machine Gun just works. And we're using Slayer's Fang and Someday. Now, if y'all want to see my armor mods, there you are. We are not using any artifacts for the setup either. Oh, but I forgot to give y'all the fashion. There's the fashion. I think it looks clean. I think this is one of the best. Honestly, wait, hold on a second. I think we can make this slightly better if I have the one I'm looking for, at least. We can make the strip slightly better. Oh, I have the white version. I don't have the purple version. I don't have the purple version. Oh well. But I think this is one of my cleanest looks in recent time. I think this look is very clean. Very, very clean. Now, let's talk about alternative options here. And the reason why Slayer's Fang is not particularly that great, not as good as you think it is. Now, in the kinetic slot, Someday with Lead from Gold, Vorpal Weapon, extremely good. Origin trait, granting a small amount of super energy. It is actually noticeable super energy. However, with multiple Pale Heart weapons, it obviously drastically increases. You can use a different machine gun other than a Void one, but I do recommend you use a Void one. Because of Void Surge, and so you can just use Rock Double Void Reserves. Now, alternative options for the kinetic slot is Heritage, Reconstruction, Recombination. Classic. It is a slug as well. It is a slug. Also another option, I don't know if it's on this character, I don't know if it's in my vault or whatnot. I don't think it is, but there is a kinetic shotgun from Dares of Eternity, which is... So, just so I can pull up the model for y'all. Wastelander. Wastelander right here from Dares of Eternity. I would recommend having a Vorpal Weapon and Pugilist. Or something else in that third column, depends on how you like it, but Vorpal Weapon on that as well. Now, Slayer's Fang. I think it's time now we talk about Slayer's Fang properly. Now, why is this shotgun not particularly great? Number one, it takes up an exotic slot. and you can put that exotic to using a kinetic shotgun. I don't know why you would do that though. Like for example, conditional finality, or chaperone. I don't know why you would use chaperone, but you can buff conditional finality's damage or whatever. You also cannot run a triple shotgun setup with this on. Legend of Acreus is one of the best. It's a really, really good heavy DPS weapon in general, but no backup plans. It's Legend of Acreus is best in slot for no backup plans. Specifically, if you're not rocking no backups plans, obviously it is very different. But when rocking no backups, Legend of Acreus is best exotic in slot. Fourth Horseman blows through ammo way too fast. Acreus runs through ammo very evenly. And you might be like, but Hot Sauce Man, ad clearing. You have two legendary options, actually. You have two legendary, like, void shotgun options. You have a slug, which is, Nessa's Oblation. This thing right here. Guess what? Repulsor's Brace, destabilizing rounds. Also, you can use Demolitionist destabilizing rounds if you want to. The shotgun has it. Its range is 92, by the way, so that's kind of insane. But there's also this season Scavenger's Fate, which drops obviously from Contest of Elders. The Nessa's Oblation drops from Rooted Nightmares. This shotgun can get destabilizing rounds, and it can get Repulsor's Brace. It's a precision frame instead, which is the same frame that this shotgun is. So you have a precision and a slug that drops repulsors and destabilizing. The key part of that is destabilizing rounds. The shotguns are actually quite good at ad clearing. So you can basically have a 30% damage bonus constantly. And you might be like, but Hustlers Man, this thing does repulsor brace extremely well. Take a look at Novak's Plans perk. While you have a Void Super Equip, Rapid Shotgun Final Blows. By the way, it does not matter what element the shotgun is. AKA, Legend of Acreus can proc an overshield in one singular shot. By nuking a bunch of enemies in one shot, which it can do, because the spread is so wide, it can give you an overshield instantly. With a shotgun, or defeating a powerful combatant with a shotgun will grant a Void Overshield to start health regeneration. While you have a Void Overshield, shotguns deal additional damage. Shotgun Final Blows refresh their Overshield and provides a moderate benefit to shotgun airborne effectiveness and reload speed. Airborne effectiveness is useless, but because realistically, who the fuck is jumping with the shotgun? Who the fuck is jumping with the shotgun? You're sliding with the shotgun in PvP even. I've never seen someone jump shot with a fucking shotgun. I've never seen anyone do that. What the fuck? But, here's the deal. You don't need a Void Shotgun. There are solar shotguns with incandescent. I would really like an incandescent heal clip roll of a shotgun, because the second a shotgun can get heal clip, oh boy. If a shotgun can't ever get that perk combination, it's a GG's. It's a GG's. Because it doesn't need to be an elemental thing. I would personally prefer an arc shotgun with chain reaction and unrelenting. Currently, there is no arc shotgun in the game that can roll. There is no shotgun in the entire game, I believe, that can roll chain reaction and unrelenting. However, there are a couple shotguns that can roll chain reaction. So that's something that I'm keeping my eyes out for. But obviously, if you get a really good shotgun that has destabilizing rounds or incandescent, you can replace that with your exotic shotgun, and it's gonna perform better than Slayer's Fang does. It just is, unless it's a pellet. If it's a pellet, ignore that statement. Now, you also might be like, but the weekend. Let me point you to two options. I don't know if it's in my vault or not, because I haven't used it in a hot minute, so it might be on my Warlock. And it looks like it is on my Warlock. But you have Buried Bloodline. Yeah, Buried Bloodline, which, if you have Devour, by default, it weakens. By the way, you can also do weakening grenades. And Warlocks have a bunch of stuff that can weaken. Hunters have a bunch of stuff that can weaken. There's also a heavy exotic that does a stronger version of a weaken. Should be in my vault here. Bubba Boy Tractor Cannon. Tractor Cannon. Like, it doesn't, it, by the way, keep in mind, Tractor Cannon does not exactly do weaken, but it does a stronger version of weaken. Like, what the fuck? We already have a shotgun that applies weaken. We do not have a shotgun that suppresses immediately. We don't have a shotgun that has destabilized, like, we don't have an exotic that really has volatile constantly. I would personally rather them swapping out the weaken for a volatile. And just giving them shotgun anti-barrier. Just being perfectly honest. Because, by the way, Tractor Cannon does overload. It does overload. Because it suppresses, it does overload. This is the second void exotic shotgun that debuffs the target and overloads. And this one does it properly. To be fair, this new exotic shotgun can do it from a distance. You know what you cannot proc for a distance? That is generally considered to be one of the strongest shotgun perks. Trench Barrel. 1-2 punch. I believe it's 1-2 punch specifically. I believe it's 1-2 punch you're specifically looking at. But like, Trench Barrel. 1-2 punch. Like, come on. Like, how do you just like... As you can see, after a successful melee hit, your weapon gains increased damage. You're already going to be at close range to proc that shit. So you would tractor, melee, you get that trench barrel, or, you know, if you have that 1-2 punch active, you do the 1-2 punch. I personally do not see a use for this exotic. I don't. I really don't. I hope they... I at least buff the ammo. At least buff the ammo, please. But if y'all want to use it, though, this is the best build that I have found. This will extend past this season if you do want to put some artifact perks on. However, definitely have on Power from Pain here. I would suggest having the ammo because you're going to be grabbing that shit constantly. I would suggest Void Renewal here. You can do whatever, you know, you want here. But for your heavy stuff, I would definitely have on Old God's Right, and I would have on Surf from Cold, but it doesn't really matter. Because Titans, you're not getting a Void Breach. You're just not getting a Void Breach. That's just how that works. On that note, though, appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I will catch y'all on the flip side.